Hey guys, it's Rob Anderson with Dollar Moves. I'd like to welcome you to another live show. Now, the show today is an awesome one. We have toy experts Beth and Seth Maus. And well, first off, before we get going on the show, I just want to say hello and thank you all for coming here. And actually, I want to ask, how is the sound and how is the picture? Are we looking good and sounding good here? If you could give me a comment or give a thumbs up, that would be perfect. And speaking of thumbs up, if you catch yourself smiling and finding the information valuable, make sure to hit that thumbs up button below the video throughout. Beth and Seth bring so much great information. So we're going to have an awesome show today. Like I said, it's going to be the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon in 2017. So Beth and Seth have been very popular on the show in the past. During Q4 and toys time, they get real popular. So I want to just really quickly here go over an overview. Actually, let me say hello to you guys. Say hello and
hi everybody.
Yeah, they've been here before. You should know them, but if you don't, I want to go ahead and give you an overview about Beth and Seth. So Beth started selling on eBay to supplement her job at Kroger. Now, you may have already heard this stuff, like I said before, but I want to go ahead and go over this because I know you can really relate to this stuff. She would go to work at 4:30 in the morning, which is sickening. While healing from a sprained ankle that left her without income or insurance, she stumbled across Jim Cockrum's Proven Amazon course that taught her about FBA. This started her FBA selling in 2010. During her 6 years of selling, she had become a single mom and was able to make full-time income selling toys year-round while also homeschooling her kids. Her oldest son, Seth, who's with us today, started helping her in the first year of selling and eventually was able to start his own successful Amazon business as well, which he was working really hard on today, I've heard as well. So, and Beth and Seth, they're the creators of the Q4 Success Group 2017 toy coaching class and bolos. And if you want, this is going to be all recorded. This whole video will be over at dollarmoves.com/Q4 2017. You can find all the information there. And if you want to, during this video, go ahead and take a look at what they have to offer. You can go ahead and open up another window and use the to see the success group and everything that comes with it. You can go to dollarmoves.com/toys Q4 2017. And they also have a brand new ebook that came out called the Q4 Hottest Niche, Find Success Selling Toys in Q4. And you can find that at dollarmoves.com/Q4 Toy Book. Now, I forgot to say, too, on the Toy Success Group, because as you'll hear them speaking and you'll hear all the information that they share, it's amazing. You're gonna hear, how knowledgeable these guys are. They do toys year-round. But you can get $50 off for Dollar Moves, people, if you use the code ROB2017 when enrolling over at dollarmoves.com/toys Q4 2017. So I'd like to welcome you guys to the show today.
Thank you. We're super excited to be here.
It's always a pleasure having you guys here. Like I said, you're definitely one of my most popular guests. People love it when you come on. It's because you guys give so much. So I want to make sure, too, that for those of you who are here, who are getting ready to hear this live or watching the replay later, right now is the best time to get yourself something to write with, to have it so that you can take notes and get some of this this great actionable information that's going to be given. So I wanted to go ahead and say hello to these guys. Again, the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon in 2017 is what we're going to be talking about. And why don't you guys go ahead and give a little, if you wanted to add any more to that bio, if I missed anything, I'd love to hear it, both you guys, and then we can go ahead and get going.
All right. Yeah, I was just thinking today how that for some reason I've ended up at, this is my 8th Q4 that I've been doing. So
wow.
I was adding that up today, and I just can't believe that it's been that long. I don't know. It seems like a long time. I guess it's not in the grand scheme of life, but it seems like a long time. So, and so we're just really excited to be here and to share about toys. And I mean, that's really our passion. That's the thing that we love to do, and we do it all year long. And I always tell everybody that, it used to make, some people would say it made them nervous when Q4 came around and the stores were packed full of toys and the shelves, they start adding extra shelves in the toy section and they're like, it's just too much stuff. And I said, oh, it makes me feel cozy. I love going in there and the shelves are real tall and they're packed full of stuff. And so this is absolutely our favorite time of year. And so we're just really glad to be able to share that with other people who, maybe they're scared of toys and don't really know what to do with toys and stuff. And so it just gives us a chance to share that with them and hopefully, win them over to the light side instead of the dark side.
There you go. And you guys, I've been so blessed to be able to watch you guys help people year round with toys, not just in Q4, but in Q4, it's just, it's something special. If people haven't done a Q4, they're going to find out. And if they have done a Q4, then it's like you can do so much more with your business. You can really scale up your business and do some great things during Q4. And I've been blessed to be able to watch your guys' groups. And every year, without fail, you just see so many people succeed. And so it's super fun from my side as well.
Yeah, it's just great fun. This is our favorite time of year. So
absolutely.
Always love Q4 and look forward to it all year long.
Absolutely. And what about you, Seth?
I don't know if I have anything to add to that. This is definitely my favorite time of year. I always tell people you can't really explain until you've been through it what Q4 is really like on Amazon. It's like trying to tell a fish how it is to walk on land. Until they actually just get the legs and go walking, you can't really explain it to them. It's night and day, and it's just exciting to be able to take other people through it and show them the ropes so that they can all join in and really experience Q4 and succeed with their business.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is something like, I know people go, oh yeah, you guys are talking about Q4. Everyone's talking about Q4, but unless you've done it, it's amazing. It's such a roller coaster, and it's like, it's a high, man. Every Q4, it's just like, whoo, you start selling and it's like gold. It's amazing. And especially if you know what you're getting, right? If you're getting the right things and getting them out there, then it's real good. It's an amazing thing. So yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Well then, did you guys want to go ahead? Today we're talking about the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon in 2017. If you want to just go ahead and jump in, let's hear it.
All right. One of the first things that we wanted to talk about, because this is one of the questions that we get all the time, every year, and we see it in groups all around every single year, is what is going to be the hot toy. And people wait for those hot toy lists to come out and they get so excited, and and it becomes a really big thing. And so that's being in toys all year round. That's one of the main questions that we get all the time. And so once people get into our coaching groups and stuff, they kind of realize that nobody really knows the answer to that. Even manufacturers don't really know the answer to that, as you can see when they run short on things every year. So it's, we can all guess at it, and we can make some educated predictions and stuff based on past performance or, what we know about the market and things like that. And so we can all kind of make these predictions. But as far as knowing what is going to be that hot thing that just takes off and runs, it's really hard to be able to say what that is. And so, and also, there's a big difference between what is hot for retailers and manufacturers and what is hot for us, because those lists that they put out are full of all kinds of information and all these toys that they want parents to buy. They're trying to get them to come to their store and buy those things, and that's what they're focused on. But for us, yes, we really want to sell toys, but we want to make money too. And
Absolutely.
So there's a big difference between buying the hot toy and finding that hot toy and finding the thing that is good for you as a reseller, that thing that's actually going to make you money. And most of the time, those are not going to be on any hot toy list. They're just not. And so, and you know, you might be saying, well, wait a minute, last year Hatchimals was on the hot toy list and look what happened to them. Well, you know, there were several things that came into play with that. And I actually go into great detail about it in the toy guide that I put out. So, but you know, most of the time that's an anomaly. Most of the time, the things that are on the hot toy list are really good things. They just don't make a lot of money. And it's not to say that you should totally, you know, ignore what's on the hot toy list, because we don't ignore what's on the hot toy list. We look at them every single year and try to see what's on there and what's being featured. But we're not necessarily looking for what we are going to sell off of that list. We're looking for, okay, what are we seeing across these lists? What kind of brand is on there? What kind of item is on there that we see there's maybe other little offshoot items that we could look for that may not be on the hot toy list, but kids are going to want as a result of having this other thing. Like when easy bake ovens were on hot toy lists, you know, well, yes, every kid wanted those, but they had to have all of the little packets of food to go with it. So we made a ton of money selling all those little packets of food. So it's things like that that we're looking for. And, you know, as far as looking at the hot toy lists, we also look there too to kind of see what trends that we're seeing across like the other stores and everything. So we're trying to kind of look and see, okay, is there something on there that's on every single hot toy list? Because if it's on Toys R Us and Walmart and Target and every single big brand store, if we start to see it on there, then it gets to be something that we figure is going to be saturated, you know. And a lot of times Amazon is in on those kinds of things too, because they're just everywhere. So a lot of times we'll look to see, okay, maybe that's an exclusive. So it's a toy that's on Toys R Us hot toy list, but it's only at Toys R Us. So something like that piques our interest a little bit more, so that we say, okay, well, at least we know people aren't finding this at every store they go to. That might end up being a little bit better for us.
So what you're saying really is, like, if you see the hot toys on everything, it could actually be a bad thing then.
Right. Yeah. It's bad for us as a reseller, because I mean, we're saying everything on the hot toy list is probably going to sell really fast, and you could buy it and sell it really fast, but whether you make any money on that is the difference there.
Which is the most important to us, right?
Exactly. We always want you to make money, and we want to make money. So, and then also when we go into stores, we want to see, like, is there a big display of this item in every place we go? Like, is it featured on the wall as soon as you walk into Toys R Us? Is it right there in front of everybody? You know, when you go into Target, is there a whole great big shelving unit that's dedicated to this toy? And if so, you know, are those shelves full? Because that makes a difference too. Are you going in there and you're finding, you know, 20, 30 of those at every store you go to? It's likely going to be saturated. But if you go in and you see, okay, here's a display for this item, but there's nothing on those shelves, then we start to pay a little bit more attention and say, okay, well, they can't keep that in stock, obviously. So we need to kind of watch for that one. And then we're also always listening to Facebook and Twitter and watching the news for all the toys, and just trying to see, like, okay, what are parents looking for that they say they can't find? I have already heard on my Facebook from friends them talking about the LOL Big Surprise and how they can't find it anywhere, and should they buy it now?
Crazy right now.
Right.
Seems so early and everything. Yeah.
Yes. And so, you know, they're like, okay, should we buy that right now? And somebody will say, oh, I saw it at this store. And then somebody will say, I'll buy it for you if I find it. And, you know, inevitably somebody will say, I don't want to pay the crazy high prices on Amazon. And so, which, is fine, but there are lots of people who will pay those crazy high prices on Amazon. So, and those are our customers.
Right. And I mean, when you're a parent, and it's like, it didn't matter if my daughter, when she was in the My Little Ponies, if she needed a certain My Little Pony, I would pay way more than the $5 or $10 it costs for a My Little Pony to not have to go search that one. And it always had to be the one certain thing, like what you're looking for, the special things that are hard to find. And it's like, get them out there. I mean, yeah, I'd pay that extra money just so I don't have to go look around.
Right, exactly. And so that's kind of what we are, especially during this busy time of year. We're like personal shoppers for people so that they don't have to go. We're willing to go into the stores and go to find all these things so that they don't have to. So, and so, just because it's in short supply right now, though, is a good indication that probably manufacturers are not keeping up, but that could change. And so I just lost my word, but our theory is always that if it's good now, you buy it and sell it now instead of buying and holding, because, we could buy the LOL Big Surprise if it wasn't restricted and having all kinds of problems. We could buy that one right now and sell it for a lot of money, or we could buy it and hold it thinking, okay, it's going to get even better as we get closer to Christmas. But what if, the manufacturer all of a sudden has this huge influx of that item into all the stores? Well, then our prices are going to tank and it's not going to do as well. So, yeah. So we just try to tell people, rather than holding and hoping that you're going to get a bigger price later, to go ahead. If it's good now, you buy it now, you sell it now.
Yeah, I call that gambling. I don't base my business decisions on a gamble, like crossing your fingers. And that LOL doll or surprise thing, like I was telling you guys right before the show, I bought one for my niece and nephew to do an unboxing on their YouTube channel. I mean, those suckers are $70. You know what I mean? Right. It's not, depending on what your cash flow is, that's a lot of money to just hold to the side, a room full of those,
Exactly. Yeah, it really is. And so, and we realize in our groups, we have people at all different stages of their business. So we have people who only have a few $100s to spend on inventory, and we have people who have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on inventory. And so, we don't tell them what to buy exactly, but we'll give them the information they need. So, if they do have tens of thousands of dollars, maybe they feel comfortable taking a few more risks than somebody with only hundreds of dollars. Absolutely. And that's totally fine. So we try to at least get the information out there to them, but we don't tell them you should really buy that and hold it just to see, because, that might be a risk that ends up panning out badly for somebody who didn't have very much money to risk in the first place.
Right. And you don't want to be stuck with that. Like, there's nothing worse than buying a bunch of stuff that you hope, like, hey, I've been there in the first year of selling. You got to learn, right? You got to take your bumps. But, there's nothing worse than buying something you expect to go up in value later and then having to sell it at a loss. Like something that you sat on that held your money, that you could use for good stuff, and then having to sell it at a loss. Like, that is just the worst thing in the world. When you were talking, I was going to ask you, have you seen when maybe something this early in the year is already starting to sell out, and then closer to Christmas, it actually does get replenished by a manufacturer, or does that not happen as much in your experience?
It's not as common for it to be, for them to sell out this early in the year and replenish, because usually those orders in the manufacturing has been done for a while.
Like months and months, right?
Yeah, for the most part, it's been done for a while. You do find it sometimes with small items, like, for instance, like a specific Hot Wheel or an action figures, things that were smaller, that they probably made a lot of at one time, but just didn't send the whole shipment at once. Things that are bigger, they didn't usually make, they didn't make 1 million Hatchimals to send to Target. They made a few 100,000, and that's what they sent. And then, they had to send some to Amazon, and then to Meijer, and then to Walmart. So, I mean, they had to spread them all out. And they didn't have any left over in their warehouse. So then it took, a few more months for them to get more to send out to all those companies. And so the bigger the item, the rarer it is for it to sell out early and then come back in. But it does happen. I mean, Hatchimals did make a reappearance. It just took about, I'd say, a month and a half, really from early October to maybe the first, second week of December. You really couldn't find a Hatchimal anywhere. Now, as we got really close to Christmas, you started actually being able to find them.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because that was actually the example that I was thinking about, because I was like, I know that kind of happened right at the end.
Right. I'm imagining that they did not expect to be as popular as they were, panicked, and they realized we got to make a lot more of these. And by the time they did, it was already really close to Christmas. So it does happen. It's just, it's not common. That's not, I wouldn't say like, you know, you would expect it, or at least I wouldn't say you would expect it to the point where like a week after they go out of stock, they're going to come back in. It'll be a few weeks between them running out and them getting back in. But it can happen that they will come back in eventually. And that you especially have to be careful not to hold past Christmas on stuff like that, because once Christmas is over and all that demand falls off, it doesn't even matter if they've caught up with demand as a whole. Once they get back in the stores, other people can find it. There will be a saturation in the market again, even with just a minor amount of stock return.
Well, because then everyone's expecting like, oh, this is a great thing, but they don't think about the fact that the frenzy is Christmas. And then after that, sometimes for some things, it's like, it's a cliff. You know what I mean? You still get that January goods, but the hot toy that everyone needed December 25th under the tree, that need from the customers is no longer there.
Yeah, especially for the more expensive items. People are willing to pay $200-$300 for that really, really, really important item for Christmas. Not for the random weekend in January. They're not going to get that for their kid in January. Maybe a birthday that might get them a more expensive item, but even then, probably not going to get them something that's, $60 in store and $250 on Amazon. So prices just inevitably fall on stuff like that once you're outside of the Christmas range.
See, that's why I talk to these guys. I'm talking to all you guys who are watching this right now, because these guys are experts and they do toys all year long. And like Beth said, 8 years of Q4, you definitely want to listen to this. Make sure you're taking notes. Hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the info. And also put any in the comment section if you have any questions or anything like that as well. So this is great stuff, guys.
Yeah, I want to add one thing to the hot toy that some people I think get confused on. You don't need to find the top 10 toys that are selling through the year to make your money during Q4. You didn't need to sell Hatchimals to make money last year. In fact, the majority, I don't know if anyone in our group could sell Hatchimals last year. Maybe a couple people who got approved partway through. But in the toy category, really anything ranked 50,000 and below is considered a well-ranked selling toy. That is, you can expect to send it in, sell it within a couple days. And once you're into Christmas, you can sell it even faster. It's going to have a higher velocity. 50,000 items that are ranked so well that you can consider that a worthy item that you could send it in and be pretty sure of selling it. That's a lot of toys. Even if you restrict yourself to just the bottom 10,000, unless you have like $1 million of inventory money, you probably can't buy all 10,000 of those toys. So you're still going to have to pick and choose, which means that there's a lot of toys out there that are not going to be on any list. They're not going to be on any ad. You're not going to see them on a commercial anywhere, but they're still going to be really good because they are in this top 10,000, 20, 50,000 in toys. And that doesn't even include going up to, really, you can go up to 150,000 during Christmas, but that's just like the safe area. 50,000 or below, you're really safe. You're not really have to worry about not selling. And that's a lot of toys to choose from. Toys that, while they may be related to the hot toys, they may be like part of the same brand or in the same company, they're not on those lists specifically. And if you're chasing down all those hot toys, always following, what everyone's saying, oh, this is super hot, this is super hot, you might miss all those toys. Many of those toys, which are actually going to make more money than a lot of those toys in the hot toy list, because no one else is looking for them. There might be 200-300 sellers on the average hot toy. In fact, pretty safe to say most of them will have between 200 and 300 sellers. But there might be 20 sellers on a particular My Little Pony doll. But that My Little Pony doll might be ranked 6,000. And so it's going to be extremely popular. It's going to sell really, really fast. And if you're one of the people who's looking for that doll, I'm not saying a specific one because this is an example. I'm not saying there really is one at the moment.
Go look for it, guys. My Little Pony, he said.
But if you're one of those people who's looking at that stuff, who's on those side things, you're not going to have to worry about those other hundreds of sellers who were fighting over that Walmart deal or that Toys R Us deal. You don't have to worry if you walk into Toys R Us on Black Friday and can't find an LOL surprise doll.
Right.
Because you weren't here for the LOL surprise doll. That was just a bonus. That was just, if I found it, great. If I didn't, oh, well, that's not why I'm here. I'm still going to go around and clean up in this store because there's 50,000 items that I can look at. There's a lot of toys out there that you don't have to look at a hot toy list to make your money and find those things. And I think a lot of people get so caught up with what is the hot toy that they forget there's so many more toys out there.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And it's what's so nice about that too. It's kind of like that idea of when you're in the store and everyone's frenzied towards certain hot toys, and like, because I've watched you guys so much show these little toys that I know nothing about had I not heard it from you guys. I mean, and you'll be like, it's this certain color and the packaging has to be this one. That's what you want. And no one's going for it. You guys know about it. And so everyone's going crazy for the frenzied stuff. And then I can go and pick things out that nobody's even really looking for. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we actually, in our group, we actually do live shopping trips. And so we're actually getting ready to take one on Monday night. So that's where we take people right into Toys R Us with us. And I hold the camera and Seth takes you around. And we just look for things to buy. You can watch us scan, you can watch us, as we're putting things in the cart, we show you everything that we're getting, absolutely everything that we get when we're in Toys R Us and filling up a cart, sometimes 2 or 3 carts. While we're doing that, we show you every single thing. And so, there really are, even now, so many really good things out there to buy that, you don't have to chase that next hot toy.
Yeah. And, I just want to say that's one thing. I mean, you're bringing up the Facebook live shopping. To me, that just blows me away. It's such a cool thing. And I've learned so much. Like, you guys don't even understand. Like, literally, Beth is following Seth around. He's picking stuff out. And since he's, the difference between an expert and someone who has to scan every single thing, because he knows so much of the store already. Like, do you always go to Toys R Us, guys?
Yeah.
We try to, because that's the one that most people have in within driving distance.
Right. And so they're in Toys R Us and they know their store. So he's going, oh, okay, checking this thing out. It shows the camera. This thing is what I'm getting, puts it in the cart. So that's how I've learned so many different things that I wouldn't know otherwise. And as you're following the experts around, they're talking chit chat back and forth about like, oh, this is coming out, or this is going to be coming out, or watch for this thing. Look for this special one, different movies that are happening, like just in the talk that they're doing, besides the fact that they're picking out the exact toys, right, that are good to get. So that is huge. Like, the first time I saw it, I get excited every time I watch that. Whenever you guys, I'm just like, oh, I want to just go sourcing right now, man. So yeah, it's really that in itself is such a huge benefit. And you said this Monday you have one you're going to be doing a live one this Monday.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
On Monday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be at Toys R Us. And another reason we picked Toys R Us is because we have a really good relationship with our local Toys R Us that's just down the road from us, and like a really good relationship. And so we feel comfortable going in there and taking video. And of course, I'm always careful not to get customers in the video as much as possible and stuff. So we try to be low key about it and everything, but we've had the managers walk right by while we were filming and just kind of say hi or wave or something, and we move right on. So they're just a really great store for us. So that's why we go there.
Yeah. And like I said, you guys it's just in that alone, it's just so amazing to see. So I want to again point that out. So if you want to join and get into the group now, you can go to dollarmoves.com/toys Q4 2017. That way you can see the live show that's going to be happening on Monday. And make sure to use the code ROB2017 to save $50 off enrollment. So that's huge in itself. And then how many times are you guys going to do live Q4? That's got to be so difficult.
We try to do one every month.
Okay.
We might have, it might end up being just two, because once you get past Black Friday, it's just so insane that sometimes it's hard to put it together. But we usually try to do one a month.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that in itself is just, I mean, it's just huge. It's very cool.
Yeah, and we are, which I'll talk about a little bit more when we get to the Black Friday section of what we're doing tonight. But we are going to post live on Black Friday as we're shopping. We just won't do live video because obviously there's just way too many people out in the stores. And so we can't do that without violating their privacy. So, but we will be posting live things as we go shopping starting Thursday evening of Christmas or of Thanksgiving. So
awesome. Yeah. And I don't want to talk too much about the Black Friday thing yet. If it sounds like you're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end.
And so the top 5 holiday Q4 tips, the first one is all this awesome talk that we just did about what's the hot toy and the hot toy list and how to use them correctly. Did you guys have any more about that, or is it what did you want to go to number 2?
We should probably move to number 2.
Yeah, I mean, you've done so much. Right.
Okay. So yeah, our second one is, the other big question we get is when to buy and also when to stop buying for Q4. So before we talk about that in particular, I just want to say that we're not talking about wholesale. If you're doing wholesale items, that needs to be purchased months in advance. You have to be ready for that. So anything that we are talking about tonight at all is going to be retail arbitrage or online arbitrage that we're talking about. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I mean, some people might be thinking, well, that doesn't make sense why you would do that this particular way. So yeah, we're only talking about RA and OA. But we see sellers every year start talking about buying for Q4, like in the summertime, especially. It starts to get to be a real topic of conversation. But we even see people talking about it in the spring. And
goodness.
you know, that is really a dangerous game to play and very risky. Like you were saying, gambling with your hard-earned inventory cash to buy so far in advance. You know, the toy category is such a fluid category, and what is a really good seller during the summertime, by Q4 or Christmas, I mean, Amazon could be selling it for less than the price you bought it for. There could be hundreds of sellers on it. Anything can happen. Right. And I know that there are a lot of people who say, well, you know, everything just gets really good during Q4. But that's not true. There are lots of things that'll actually get worse during Q4. And it's surprising every year when that happens. And, you know, not to discourage anybody, because there are amazing things during Q4. There, you know, the opportunity to make money is huge during Q4, but it doesn't mean that every single thing is going to be profitable.
Right.
You know, I mean, we joke all the time, like you could fall into a stack of toys and, you know, find something to sell and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it really is a joke, because you could fall into a stack of toys and just make a really big mess on the floor, and, you know, the manager come and, you know, it's a whole scene. So,
yeah, right.
And you don't make any money. Right? I don't know. Seth drops a lot of stuff when we go on our live video.
You break it, you buy it, bro.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and so actually in our coaching group, we've actually been telling our group members all during October not to buy for Q4 yet. We focused We focused on Halloween. We focused on fall. You know, we focused on the myriad of toys that were amazing all during October. There were some really great things, and some bolos that we posted that made a lot of money for people. And so, you know, those were things that are doing good right now, not things that we were saying to wait until Q4 comes. And which, I mean, technically this is Q4, but the real high Q4 fast and furious selling doesn't usually happen until about mid-November, closer to Black Friday, and then up until Christmas. So, you know, you'll see some uptick in sales, but usually that time when you're just, every time you refresh your order page, there's like another page full of orders, you know.
Love it.
I know, it's so amazing, and that's so much fun, and I can waste so much time just refresh over and over again.
Oh gosh, yeah, just
Right?
wake up and check your phone.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, it's really dangerous to start to buy ahead too soon for Q4. And for us personally, we'll actually start to buy for Q4 in the next week or so, like Q4 focus things. You know, there are, because we've been doing it for so long and we do it all year long, there are some things that we personally will take a chance on. But we would never recommend anybody in the group do that, you know, just because we try to be more careful with our group members' money than we are with our own even.
Sure.
You know, I mean, we take that, it's a huge responsibility for people to listen to the things that you say and to actually put their money on those things that you say. So we take that very seriously and try to be very conservative. I was telling someone last night something that I thought should be good. As we got closer to Christmas, I thought that the price should rise. And she said, she commented back, she goes, I don't want should, I want to promise that it's going to get good.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
crazy.
yeah. And I told her, I said, well, I'm not really the promise type because, you know, you just never know what can happen with any item. So, you know, like we said, if it's good now, you sell it now.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people with this business, they get used to the idea that it's not like, they don't think of it like a business. Like, business takes risk. And I love the way that you guys do it, the way that everyone that I recommend, you know, about anything, it's like you care about your students first. You're like, I'm not going to give you an outlier unless I say this is a way outlier or something, maybe once or twice or something, you know, but as a like, hey guys, but for the most part, you're like, we're staying in this niche right here. We're staying in this amount, you know, this rank. We're not going to give you things that are going to risk your capital and help you to succeed. But, you know, business is a risk. It's just, man, Q4, it's more like you're the house than the gambler. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, exactly. And which is what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at as far as like buying for Q4. That now at this point, the time that we're finally doing this video with you, you know, now we're getting into, yes, it's just about time to really start buying Q4 focused items. And so, you know, for us, we sell toys all year long. So our inventory is always made up of toys. But for people who don't sell toys all year long and maybe they don't want to, maybe they really just want to sell them for Q4, you know, they have to be a little bit more cautious even because they don't want those things left over after Christmas is over. And, you know, for us, we figure we may not sell it for as much money afterwards, but we know we'll be able to sell it. So it doesn't bother us so much. So the Q4 focus things that you're doing, you want to, you know, start maybe in the next couple weeks here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was going to actually ask that if you didn't come up with, I figured you probably would come up with that. But so you're saying the actual Q4, by the way, starts about mid-November on?
Yeah, that's what we call it, high Q4. I don't know
like
if that's the technical Webster's dictionary definition of Q4, you know, but we call it high Q4 when things just really start to move, especially in the toy category. So
Black Friday is really the day that begins the sales that everyone, you know, brags about. That's when it really gets the insane. but it starts getting a lot faster in early November. It's just not the fast that people talk about when they say like, oh, that was crazy. I woke up and sold 100 items in an hour.
Right, right.
That stuff happens usually around Black Friday. But prior to that, you should see, really starting in November, you see right at the beginning a marked increase in toy buying. But really then all things start to get better and better as we get closer to Black Friday. And then Black Friday, it just goes crazy.
So I guess my biggest point in that is that for anyone who's watching this out there, and maybe you feel like, you know, I don't know how you'd feel this, but maybe I missed the boat on Q4 because Q4 actually starts like October 1st. It's like you haven't seen anything yet. Like you're still in a place where you can crush Q4. So that's really cool to hear for you. Like it's not even like high Q4, like they said, has not even started yet. So that's super cool. I just want to throw that out there because for those people who may not know and think like, oh, maybe I've already missed the boat on Q4 or whatever, because October is like Q4 for real, you know, in the books. So I think that that's super, super important for people to know.
Yeah, I would even say that honestly, you haven't missed Q4 until we're past the first week of December. That's really the only place where once you reach there, you've probably missed the majority of the great stuff. You could still make actually good money after that if you were wise about it. But right up until then, between the crazy sales that go on in stores, the crazy speed of sales on Amazon, the ability to merchant fulfill things just instantly, you really haven't missed until you're past it, essentially, until you're at the point where no one's buying for Q4 anymore, which really doesn't happen until mid-December.
That's crazy. So you think someone could come in like the first week of December still and just maybe not crush as big because they didn't have as much time, but still do really good things.
They could. Yeah.
That's
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
Absolutely.
You should try to get in early because there's so much stuff. But I think if you for whatever reason, like say you were sick or something for all of November, you could take the first week of December and go out and probably spend $3,000-$4,000 on a shipment and turn it around in a week.
That's awesome.
If you know what you're doing. I'm not saying like go buy whatever you feel like, but you haven't missed it if you haven't gotten in quite yet.
Well, see, that gives hope for the people who are watching the replay who maybe they're watching this and it's a week into November or it's a couple weeks or a few weeks and they're just like, I have no hope. I mean, that's cool to know that you can still go in there. Maybe don't go crazy like you're saying, like all in or whatever, you know, but like if you're smart about it, you can still salvage, you know, Q4, still have a good Q4 with that. Yep. So that's super cool to know.
Yeah, in fact, we have people in our group who have limited inventory money, you know, maybe only a few $100s to spend, who we actually tell, don't spend that money until Black Friday week, because that's where all the deals, the ones that you can't miss, that's where they start. Now, if you can afford to, you start buying now. But if you only have a limited amount, don't spend your money right now. Save it for then. So, you know, we wouldn't be telling them that if we thought that you'd be missing out on Q4 by waiting until Black Friday to buy.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, and every year you have people who are panicking because stuff is not flying off the shelves, so to speak, you know, and they aren't getting pages and pages of orders in mid-November yet. And so every year we have to kind of talk people off the ledge and be like, it's okay. Yeah, it's still going to happen. Trust us. It's coming. It's coming. And then every year, by the time we get to Christmas, they're like, wow, okay, I see what you mean.
It's every single year. This is not like, I mean, it's the exact same thing. Like, you know this, you've done this, you've taught this so many years. I see it every year. I think we all feel it a little bit even every year, even though we know. You start going, man, is this going to work again this year? And then you go, oh yeah, good that I started doing this stuff.
Right. Yeah. I feel that little twinge of panic every once in a while.
You just kind of go, it's still going to work, right? Oh, yeah, it does. It works. Good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as far as, you know, to kind of bring the other end of that, we also have people ask us when they should stop buying for Q4 specific items. If they're, you know, specifically trying to get things in for Christmas, they start to ask us, okay, when should we stop buying? So basically, if you really just want to focus on, you know, selling toys for Christmas and the holiday season, then you should probably stop kind of buying about mid-December. We generally tell people it really depends on their turnaround time of their warehouse. Ours has like a 1-day turnaround time, which is just unbelievable. And most people, we realize, don't have that. So you kind of have to take that into account, but generally speaking, you want to get the last of your items in around 5 to 7 days before Christmas. So that way then it's got time, because we all know how Amazon loves to move our stuff around. So
yes, ma'am.
that'll give you time to let them get it shifted to another warehouse and take a day or so to do that. And and get your items up for sale. So it just makes sure that you have that little bit of buffer in there.
Yeah. To give you an idea,
awesome.
For Amazon, generally 5 days before Christmas, sales start to slow. And then about 2 days before Christmas, it stops. You still get the occasional person who's paying for 2 days or 1 day shipping, but it usually, the majority of sales have stopped on that about 2 days before. But this year, because Christmas is on a Monday, you're probably going to see those sales stop on Friday. You're probably going to see Saturday.
Okay.
You'll probably still get some, because I think USPS will deliver on Sunday. Well, actually, they might not, because that's Christmas Eve. So I don't know if they'll do that this year. I'd have to look into that. But you'll probably see most of the sales stop on Friday. That's the 22nd, which is a little earlier than it usually is. Usually it's the 23rd, but this year it's going to be the 22nd. And so you want to make sure that you're not getting stuff in to the point where about the 20th and on, you don't want stuff coming in after that, because that's where it's almost to the point where sales are slowing down. People aren't buying as much. If they are buying, it's someone paying for like 1-2 day shipping to get it there as fast as they can for Christmas. And the thing is, if it doesn't get there, then it tends to get returned. And you can't control that. Right. Especially if it's FBA, you can't control whether or not it gets there or not. You can't control if Amazon's in transit somewhere. You don't have control over that. So you want your stuff in there before the 20th. You don't want your stuff getting in there on the 21st, 22nd, because by then things are slowing down. You want it in there before that, which means you probably need to ship it out 15th, 16th, depending on your turnaround time, maybe even earlier than that if you have longer turnaround times.
Wow, that's huge information, you guys. That's right to the edge, man. That's doing it. And then it's just kind of you die at that point.
Generally,
right?
we tell people that you probably want to stop buying FBA in the second week of December and just focus on MF buying. That is, buy stuff that you can sell MF, that you don't have to worry about getting it into an inventory warehouse somewhere, so that you can ship out from your home, because then you don't have to worry about whether or not you're late. If nobody buys it, you can take it back to the store. You're not in any risk there. But if you're going to do FBA, and it's still okay to, especially if you're selling these toys all year round, but if you're going to do FBA, that second week in December is where you want to cut it off. You don't want to be buying in the third week of December. That's a really bad place to be doing it, because you're not going to have time to get your turnaround.
Right. And for those who don't know, maybe you're new to Amazon and don't know what MF is, that's merchant fulfill, which means that instead of sending it out to Amazon to their warehouses and having it send every time it sells, you actually are the person you have the product. You list it on Amazon, but you hold the product at your house or your business. And then as it sells, you ship it out. So, and Beth and Seth, they teach about that. I believe in the group, you actually have that information on how to do it.
Yeah, and we're actually going to talk about it just a little bit with you tonight, even.
Perfect.
So,
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You're
awesome.
giving away our later stuff here.
Well, that's great. So, is there anything else about when to start? Man, I think you guys have gone above and beyond on how far when to stop and when to. I mean, that's a lot of great information. So, thank you guys so much for all that. Did you have anything else to add, or I think we've really covered that?
Yeah, I think we did good.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. And for all of you watching, hit that thumbs up. And also, if you have any questions, put them over on the side. Now, again, we're doing the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon in 2017. So far, we talked about hot toys, and then we talked about when to start shopping for Q4. So tons of great information. Went way beyond just that. So I want to take a minute here. And well, actually, why don't we, let's go ahead and talk about the toy group that you have and all the information, what comes with that, what is it, and also your toy guide. I just like to let people know, I'm sure they've seen like how much of experts you guys are, how much you know this stuff, and they'd love to hear the type of stuff that you have to offer, the different benefits that you have.
All right. Yeah, for the group that we have, everything that we do for our Q4 group is always hosted on Facebook. So Seth and I are in there. We always say that we're in there Monday through Friday and that we take weekends off, but we don't really. So we are pretty much in there every day. Answering questions. Anytime any new information comes up, we post about it and let you know, even if it's not toy specific, if it's something about, Amazon is changing things about accounts, or like today I had a post about the fact that on November 1st, Amazon's going to require 2-step verification for your account. So, I posted about that to give everybody a heads up in case they hadn't enabled that yet, and told him how to do it, sent him to the right pages. And so we talk about things like that. It's not just all toys. Seth really likes to do video. I would rather write than do a video. So usually my posts, my teaching and training is usually, I usually have little guides or documents, or I'll do a really wordy post sometimes about different things. So that's usually what I do. Seth loves to do video, so he has a lot of really great videos in there. I know that he's talked about how to handle sales. He's talked about what else have you talked about, Seth? I'll let you say what you.
So far, I've talked about how to set up a repricer properly on Amazon, which is very important for Q4 especially. I've done how to handle MF sales, for assuming you're someone new and you've never done a merchant fulfilled sale, or maybe not a lot of them, guide for that. And then also preparation for toys and how we're going to handle them during Q4. I did Halloween stuff, but quite honestly, if you join the group now, you're a little late on that one.
Right.
But I did some toy stuff preparing you for Q4 once we hit, because once we get into this next week here, we're going to all start buying for Q4. So I've got preparation for that, how to handle, in-store sales, how to treat discounts, and also a lot of the stuff we talked about tonight has also been in video form, talking about how to treat, when to stop sending stuff in, when to slow down on certain things, whether or not certain things are worth buying. And then in our Zoom call we did yesterday. That was yesterday.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna say.
Yeah, in our Zoom call yesterday, we talked a lot about the big toy books that everyone gets. For Toys R Us, Target. We talked a lot about that and how to really handle those books. How not to get starry-eyed when looking at them, because it can be enticing looking at all those toys on there, but how, really these aren't the deals you're looking for, and how to handle and take advantage of them when you're going into those stores.
Yeah, that is awesome. And you have so much great information. Sorry to cut you off there. I just got to give Seth some props on all of his videos. I mean, they're so in depth. If you think this is in depth, like, watch one of Seth's videos there. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah, he does really, really good with that. So, and we also have, there's a Q4 prep package in there where we talk in depth about all the different dates. Like we were talking about the dates for sending in your FBA shipments and things like that just a few minutes ago. We have all of those dates in there. We've got a detailed list of all the supplies that you should be buying. And a lot of times that really helps people, especially when they're new, to kind of gauge, because they're not sure, do I need 50 poly bags or do I need 1,000 poly bags? So, So yeah, it's just very, very detailed. And I mean, and every week we have a buy list that goes out. And I go through the buy lists and vet each item that we put on there. And there are, there's RA items on it. I separate it into OA items, RA items, and items that are a little bit riskier if you've got extra inventory cash and you want to do that. So there's really a lot that is going on, and the group is super active right
Yeah.
now. I can barely keep up with all the questions that are on there, because it's just, people are asking things and talking back and forth, and I just have to give props to all of our great group members. We have some of the most helpful group members and most encouraging group members to each other.
Right.
I mean, sometimes even before Seth and I can get in to answer a question, somebody else from the group has jumped in to give ideas. It's not a BOLO group, so to speak. I mean, you could go through the whole thing and never give a BOLO if you didn't want to, but Seth and I give a bunch of BOLOs all the time. Every time we go out shopping, we're constantly posting about different things we found. And we have group members who do the same. We've had several group members who've posted some really good things. So
already, I mean, it's already happening in there, and it happens every year. And that's the difference between, just going onto some random Facebook group or whatever. Like, I've seen this year and year and year with your toy group. The everybody's paid their money to get in there. It's a big family. Like, everyone's there to help each other, and it's every year, all the time. And like you said, you're already seeing that. Like, you guys aren't even coming in. Someone will jump in and say, oh yeah, let me tell you about this thing or whatever. This is how to do it. This is how, or, oh yeah, you can find that file over here or whatever. I mean, it's a place where you don't have to be worried about asking stupid questions, because there are none. And you can feel safe and know that, it's like everyone's in there together to get to that same common goal of just kicking butt during Q4.
Yeah. And I really love that about our group members, because, we do have newer people that are coming in that are asking questions that the veterans are like, oh my gosh, I've known this for years, but instead of being frustrated, they're like, let me tell you how to do that. And this is what I've learned, and this is how I do it. And so I just really appreciate that about them. And we do Zoom calls once a month. We've got, we just did one last night for an hour and a half. And
so that's a live video call, right? A Zoom call?
Yes, it's
for
a
those who don't
live.
know.
It's like Spreecast used to be,
kinda.
but yeah, they got rid of Spreecast, so we went to Zoom.
Right.
So yeah, it's like a live video. And so then coming up, I'm thinking in 3 weeks, I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think 3 weeks, that there is going to be, we're going to have our 2-hour Black Friday awesomeness evening. And so we are just going to talk everything Black Friday, take everybody through the ads, and just go through everything, give details.
You're going to do that with the ads on the Zoom, like live?
Yes.
We do. Yep. Wow. We have links for everything that not every single thing. Sometimes you can't get a link, but we have links that we give out to show people exactly what we're talking about. We have timing that is, let's say a sale's at 5 a.m. and let's say another sale's at midnight, another sale's at 3. We have it set up by time so that you can plan your store routes and make sure you're going the right way. It's kind of a game plan for going for Black Friday and for Black Friday week, because nowadays Black Friday is not just Black Friday anymore. Now it's some of the deals start on Sunday. So we kind of go over everything for that upcoming week and getting prepared for it to make the most of your inventory money.
So it's Black Friday tactical, like craziness. Like, at this time you go to this place, this time you go. I mean, that is awesome. So you guys have really done the work as far as when Black Friday comes up. It's like, here's all the stuff. You didn't have to dig through all the everything, and here's where the good stuff is. I mean, that's huge. I know I saw it last year, but it's just to hear it again. I always get all excited about Q4 too when we start talking about it. But yeah, that's huge to have the experts looking at the information, putting it all together in ways that you can follow it by time and by stores. And so that's humongous. I mean, and then to do the Zoom call at night, the night before, and be like, here's everything, here's each ad. I mean, that's huge. So That's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. We don't do it, just to clarify, we don't do it the night before. We do it about a week before.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, that's okay. I
No,
just
I
didn't
wanted the
want them
night
to
before.
be
Now that
expecting,
I
like,
said it, no, I'm
right.
just kidding.
Right. Now we have to add another one in there because Rob's
There
dead.
you go. You'll be like, I'm so tired. I'm sleeping for Black Friday tomorrow.
Right. Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just have, there's a lot of stuff that we do in the group. We have every week, we have Friday Q&A. So they can ask us questions and we'll answer it on an audio recording, which kind of gives us time to go a little bit more in depth than we would just writing things out. And so there's just a lot of stuff that we add to the group and do in the group. And so, you know, I mean, we do it every year. And so, and it's basically the same way that we run all of our groups.
Right.
It's just, you know, a little bit more fun because it's Q4. So,
Right. And that's actually, I was going to say, you said the veterans earlier. That's something that probably slipped right by everyone. So many people sign up over and over and over again for your toy group, correct?
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
We have people that are there every single group and who we're kind of like, you really don't need us anymore, you know, but they say that, you know, something that they learn every time more than pays for the group, maybe a
right.
bolo that we gave or a tip that we gave or something like that. And they're like, it's worth it to keep coming back because, you know, they just don't have time or, you know, don't want to take the time to learn all that stuff on their own and find all that stuff on their own. So,
Right. So people won't spend money on something over and over and over again that won't work. And if they're doing this over and over, that shows something there. These aren't people who are just starting on Amazon or whatever. These are people who are veteran Amazon sellers and they see that value. And like you said, one or two things from what they learn can pay for the whole group and then some. And I've seen that. And I absolutely agree with that. It's such a, so many benefits, all the stuff you just said. I mean, there's so much in that when you actually like put it all together. It must sound like a lot of work for you when you actually lay it out, huh?
right.
But I
I'm
mean,
exhausted.
yeah, right. But you guys over deliver. And as you guys can tell from this video, you know, these guys care about their students completely. Like you can hear it over and over. It's like, we're getting prepared for you so that you can go out there and succeed. Now, if you guys want to join the Q4 Success Group, Toy Success Group, you can go to dollarmoves.com/Q4 2017 and make sure to use the code Rob 2017 to save $50 off enrollment. Now, there will be a link down below here. There's a link in the chat right now if you want to join now. And then also you can go to dollarmoves.com/Q4 2017 and scroll right down. Now, was there anything else about the group that you wanted to add, or did you cover everything on that?
I covered everything. I don't know if Seth had anything that he wanted to add to.
Okay.
I think we've covered most of the important stuff. I mean, there's so many little things, you know. I mean, we've had things from people asking questions that may seem innocuous, like, can I ship my priority mail in a priority mail flat box? Might seem innocuous, but that could actually get your account shut down because that package might be returned to you because USPS won't accept it. And you're going to be 3-4 days late. And if that's your first MF order ever, and you've only done 10 orders so far in your whole career on Amazon, you might get your account shut down for that.
Wow.
So even little things like that can seem innocuous, or if you've been around for a while, you're just like, oh, that's, you know, everybody knows that. Well, not everybody does know that. And so little things like that, that can really help people are always popping up. You know, it always surprises me. The little things that people don't know but can make a big difference, and how we can get those fixed in the group. Not just us. I mean, people who've been with us for years will jump in and be like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because, you know, you do that and that'll end up biting in the butt. So it's always good to see those things come out.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I see that over and over again. And I mean, when I think toys, I think you guys, like, it's, and I'm sure that people watching this, they realize, like, you guys know your stuff when it comes to toys. So again, real quickly, I want to mention that to join the Q4 Toy Success Group and make sure and see the live in-store shopping that they're going to be doing this coming Monday. Today is Friday the 27th. They're going to be shopping on Monday. Go to dollarmoves.com toys Q4 2017 and use the code ROB 2017 to get $50 off enrollment. That's for Dollar Moves viewers. And also, real quickly, you were saying, Beth, that there is a 2-pay or 3-pay option.
There is, yeah, we do have a payment plan option, and the coupon code will work for that. That is going to be a limited time thing, just because it takes 3 months for that to completely go through. And by the time it's done here pretty soon, the group will be completely done. So, so that payment plan is going to be shutting down in about probably the next 10 days. Like at the first, I'm not sure the exact date, but that first Monday in November. So I don't know what day that is, the 5th, 7th, 6th.
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. I don't have it. It's
you guys
6th.
are awesome.
Okay.
Okay, cool. But that is so cool that you are extending that. I know that we're getting this video out a little bit later. So thank you so much for doing that. And then real quick, before we get back to the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon 2017, I'd like you to talk a little bit about, for those people who maybe they're not ready to make that, or they're not in that place in their business yet to make that investment into the group coaching. I know that you just updated your Q4's Hottest Niche Finding Success Selling Toys ebook. And I wanted to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just put that out this year. And so it's the things that we teach, and like the things that we're sharing with you tonight and the things that we share in the group, basically what I did is I took some of those things and went through and showed why that we teach that way. So I went through and I pulled data from Keepa and Camel and things, so that you could see, like, okay, this is why we say don't hold on to something. This is why we say don't buy early. This is why we say, you know, pay attention to different ranks, and don't just, you know, think that, oh, something that's a 500,000 rank is going to be amazing because it's Q4. And so I go through each one of those things and pull out data from, and I actually go back a couple of years to kind of show comparisons, so that you can see, like, okay, it wasn't just an anomaly for maybe 2016 or 2017. It was something that's a pattern that we see every year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and so if you join the coaching group, you can get that for only $10. So, just a little added benefit, so that for the members of the coaching group. And I actually had someone, she's new to our coaching group this year, and she just told me that she just finished it, and she said she felt like she took a course in stocks and bonds. So
wow, that's good.
I have no idea, but that's what she said. So, but it just goes through and kind of shows you that law of supply and demand, and how that fluctuates during Q4, to kind of explain how Q4 works with toys. You know, that's different than the rest of the year, and why that sometimes the things that you might hear out in some of the other groups and things, that it may not be exactly accurate. So
right,
I just
so you're giving the proof.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, you know, a lot of times in really big groups, you have a lot of people who will answer questions who maybe have only been selling for a few months. And so they think, you know, let me answer your question and tell you how to do this and stuff. So we kind of go through and just say, okay, this is why that we teach the things that we do. So,
wow,
so yeah, it goes real in depth with that.
Very cool. Now, if you guys are interested in getting the new ebook that teaches stocks and bonds, just joking, that talks about the niches over the years, which is so cool to have all that great data, right? To see like, this is the reason why. This is why we teach this way. This is what happens over and over again. You can expect this type of thing to happen again in the future. I mean, that's humongous. That's data, you know? And so if you want to find the Q4 Hottest Niche Finding Success Selling Toys ebook, go to dollarmoves.com/Q4 toy book. That's dollarmoves.com/Q4 toy book. And then again, if you join the Q4 Success group, you can get that book for $10. I'm sure is it a link when they purchase the group?
There when they'll after they purchase the group, they can go back to the sales page for the book, and there's
Oh,
a
okay.
special link that they can choose that'll only let them purchase it for $10 if they already have the already have the coaching group. So it
Awesome.
checks for that. So.
Well, very cool. And then did you want to add anything else, Seth, or is there anything else to add about this stuff?
No, I think she covered pretty much all of it
I
for
know
that
she
stuff.
did awesome. I don't think she missed anything. I'm watching on my computer here. I'm like, okay, is she getting all the group? Got all the group stuff. Got all the So rocking and rolling. Okay, so let's get back to again. You guys can find all that information out at dollarmoves.com/Q4 2017, and just scroll down to Beth and Seth Maus on the page. I have my pin here. I just realized in my picture because I'm actually taking notes as well. When these guys talk, I do listen. That's the truth. So we'll get back now to the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon in 2017. And we've already done 1, what's a hot toy and about the hot toys, and 2, when to start shopping for Q4 and different Q4 dates. So now we are to number 3.
All right. And number 3 is navigating the brand restrictions. You know, Yes. And as we all know, last year, the Amazon brand restriction hammer came down fast and hard during Q4 and shocked us all. Yeah, that was awesome.
It's super awesome.
And so it shocked us all and kind of sent people into a tailspin. And I know, you know, there were a lot of people who totally gave up on selling toys just because of that. And so, and we don't necessarily blame them. It is hard. It's hard to navigate through the brand restrictions, especially if you're newer. You're going to have a lot more restrictions than like Seth and I do. So, and actually Seth has fewer restrictions than I do. So,
oh man,
so
what happened there?
I know it's offensive,
right? That's funny.
But so, you know, we realize that there's just no possible way for us to know every person's brand restrictions. So we try in the group to really take into account the fact that there are a lot of people with brand restrictions. And we try to make sure that we cover just a wide range of items for people. That way, you know, the bolos that we're giving out, we try to make sure that we're giving things that we think somebody in the group can buy. So that way, at least, you know, we don't try to limit it to only things we think are not restricted, because we do have some veteran sellers who are not restricted in a lot of things. So, you know, we want to make sure we're offering things for them too. But we also try to make sure that we are offering things that newer sellers should be able to buy. And so I've been talking a lot, so I don't know if Seth wants to give the ways that we help to navigate those, or if he wants me to just keep talking.
I can do that. One of the ways that we help you guys get around the restrictions is, one, opening you up to all the actual toy brands out there. Everyone, when they think about toys, they think about big players like Disney Princess or Shopkins or Mattel. You know, they're thinking about these big toy brands, and these are the ones that I got to get into. But the truth is that the majority of great toys aren't found in those brands that everyone's going to. A good example of this is Barbie. Everyone knows Barbie. Everyone who's ever gone into toys knows at least on some level what Barbie is and how Barbie works. But here's the thing, 99% of Barbie is not good to resell. In fact, that might even be a little generous. It might be 99.5%. The majority of Barbie is terrible for resale. And the reason is everyone knows what Barbie is. Every single seller who sold on Amazon for the last, you know, however long, they know what Barbie is. So when you go to the average Barbie, there's 200 or 300 sellers on them, and you can't make any money. Even the hottest Barbie toys during the year tend not to be any good in terms of resale, because there's just so many people selling it, and that's not even counting Amazon competition. But a lot of people have never looked at Peppa Pig. A lot of people don't even know what Peppa Pig is. In fact, if you don't have a young child, you probably don't know what Peppa Pig is, because you've probably never seen the show. But Peppa Pig's pretty popular. You know, things like PJ Masks, things like, you know, Shimmer and Shine, all these toy brands that aren't necessarily the big ones, the ones that you've always heard about from everybody. These toy brands are probably the best place to be. These places where most of the restrictions are not. And that's because not many people know about them. And that's not to, I'm certainly not saying like, you know, Mattel has nothing good, so hey, don't worry about it, forget Mattel.
Right.
Mattel has plenty of good stuff that, you know, you can sell. I'm not saying that they're bad or anything. And even Barbie will have things that you can sell this year. But I'm saying that most people get so caught up in those brands that they forget about the other toys. Like I said earlier in the video here, there's 50,000 toys ranked 50,000 and under. That means even if you're really, really, really negative in your view on how those toys work, and let's say you say 90% of this stuff is restricted, that still leaves 10,000 toys open to you in the top 50,000, which means that there's a pretty good chance you're going to find something. So one of the things we do is we try to open everybody's eyes up to all the toy brands to make you realize that all of Toys R Us is open to you, not just the Barbie aisle and the Shopkin aisle. You know, there are all these other brands out there that you've maybe never heard of, but that they're popular to an extent. And so we open those up. And another thing we do is try to show you how to get into toy brands, even if you're restricted. Now, this, when I say get into toy brands, I'm not saying this in a manner of like, you know, cheat your way around the system and be suspicious and, you know, do shady things. We're not talking about that because that's not okay. We would never condone that. But we will show you how to, some methods to possibly get yourself unrestricted. Now, they're not foolproof. Amazon won't tell anyone how exactly their restriction process works, but we've had good success with it. We've had really good success. We've had a lot of people in our group have good success. And so we show you how that process works and how to get to the place where that process should be able to work for you, which even if it doesn't work this Q4, down the line can really open up opportunities for you. And then another thing we do is show you how to take the knowledge of toys into other categories. And by that, I mean, let's say, for example, we'll show you how to take knowledge of Shopkins and make money on it in bedding and home items, you know, how to take it beyond just toys. So you might be restricted in a toy, but more often than not, that restriction does not pass over into the home or into video games or, you know, all those other sections. More often than not, it doesn't pass over. So we show you how to take the knowledge of toys and apply it across the spectrum. So like, just off the top of my head, a couple of years ago, there was a really big Frozen Olaf inflatable Christmas ornament. It was like 3 feet tall or something like that. Awesome. Yeah, it was like one of those ones you put in your front yard. You know, it blows up, and what we did is we showed, you know, Frozen's super popular. You might be restricted in Frozen. That's okay. Go buy this Olaf doll. You're not going to be restricted in him. He's in home, and he was like $30 selling for 80. You know, I mean, you know, things like that that go beyond the toy category that can get you, even if you can't sell that particular toy, can still push you out into a place where you can make money during Q4. Because even though Q4 is amazing for toys, and it is, I can't stress that enough. But even though it's amazing for toys, everything gets a bump during Q4. All the categories become more popular, have more sales because everyone's buying more stuff for Christmas. And we also do video games too, which is also a really big one, that there are a lot less restrictions in than toys. That's not to say it's necessarily easier than toys. Video games, I think, is personally it's a little harder, but we also do video games and show, you know, certain things in there. And you know, we do, our focus is toys, but that's not where we stick. We don't stick there and say, you know, oh, well, you're restricted in toys. Tough luck. Sorry, better luck next year. That doesn't work for us. We say, okay, you're restricted in this toy. That's all right. Go look at this over here. You know, here's some bedding stuff that we found, or here's this Christmas ornament that's doing really good. You know, maybe the Disney store or something. You know, go look at this stuff. Like most of our stuff over the last month has been costumes for Halloween. Right. Most of those costumes people weren't restricted in because they weren't, you know, even though it was a Descendants costume, it wasn't in the toy category. So it wasn't restricted. Right. So we definitely try to get out beyond the places where those restrictions apply to help you find your way around. Another thing we do is we show you how to properly get a listing set up if it's improperly done. There are a lot of restrictions that are actually in place right now because the listing is improperly set up. A good example of this actually last year was the Hatchimals. The Hatchimals should not have been restricted in the way they were. When the Hatchimals were created, people put the brand as or put the manufacturer as Hatchimals. It shouldn't have been Hatchimals.
Oh, right,
it should have been Spin Master. But because they did it that way, when Amazon put the ban down on all those people who were, on these listings, they didn't go by people who should have been approved to sell Spin Master. They went by people who should have been approved to sell this really obscure Hatchimals that didn't exist a month and a half ago. And so all these people who had great selling records, who had been selling for years, they couldn't sell it. Why? Because it was improperly set up. So we show you how some of these listings, not every single listing, I'm not saying like magically you can go from not being able to sell Disney to suddenly being able to sell Disney. But, if something's wrong and the reason you're restricted is because it's wrong, we can point that out, show you how to get it fixed. We've already had a few things in the group that have had that happen. Right now, for instance, LOL dolls are a really big issue on Amazon. We've had a few things from that we've gotten corrected, which doesn't mean that, you're automatically able to sell it. Maybe you are restricted legitimately, but if you had a record, if you should have been able to sell it, we should be able to get it to the point where we're able to do it again.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, just being, like you said, you're not Amazon and you can't guarantee to get people unrestricted on anything. So he's not saying that, obviously, but I've watched you be able to help people in the process get into some things that otherwise they wouldn't be able to. And how huge is it that you guys have helped work on the actual bad listings to make it to where those people are able to, start doing that. So yeah, that's huge. And I love that you go outside. It's like, so you learn the characters, you learn the popular things, and maybe you're restricted in them, but instead of doing everything, maybe you go to like cups and sheets or whatever. I mean, that's huge. It's being able to learn that the whole toy thing and going outside of just the, just that restricted part. It's thinking outside the box. That's everyday selling toys on Amazon kind of thinking, It's awesome.
Yeah. And I, and Seth, as he was explaining everything, I do want to clarify for everybody, which I'm sure, that nothing that he said would lead you to think this, hopefully. But when we're talking about, finding things in other categories or, fixing listings that might be wrong, we're not ever talking about trying to skirt around Amazon's terms of service. We're not ever trying to tell you to do something that's under, that's not above board, that's underhanded, or, something that just isn't the right thing to do, isn't running your business with integrity. We would never tell anybody to do that. So, we're not ever telling anybody to, try to change a brand to generic or unknown or something so that they can get ungated in that brand. We're not telling anybody to list things as collectible when they're not, so that they can get around the restriction to list it as new. So those are all things that, put your account at risk, for one thing. And, for the other thing, they're just not the right thing to do. They're not the honest thing to do. And so we would never say to do that. So I wanted to clarify that, as Seth was talking, he was really good about explaining how that we help people to change listings and things like that. But just to clarify, in case anybody thought, oh, well, maybe I could change it, to something else that I'm not restricted in. We just never to say to do that. So
yeah, and I don't think that he came across like that at all.
No.
I think it's great though that you say this. It's like integrity is the first thing, and we're never gonna tell you to do something that's gonna put your account at risk. Like those are the kind of people you want leading you. You know what I mean? So I think that that's huge that you brought that up.
Yeah, and I didn't think that he, I was hoping that he wouldn't be able to be misunderstood, and I thought he explained it really well too. But
yeah, he did awesome, actually.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to be sure. So, yeah, I think. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about brand stuff, Seth? Or
not for that?
You were good. Okay.
All right. So then I guess we're going to number 4.
Yep. So like we had talked about just a little bit, we touched on it kind of about merchant fulfilled during Q4. So every year Amazon sends out the selling in holiday or selling in toys and games for holiday season email. And every year people panic because they think that that means that they are not going to be able to sell anything in toys and games for Q4. And so every year we have to calm everybody down and tell them that's not what that means. Basically, when you get that email that says your account needs to meet these standards to be able to sell in the toys and games category, they mean merchant fulfilled. They are not talking about FBA. So the very first year that I started selling, I started in like the early to mid fall. It was right before Q4 actually technically hit in October. And so that was my very first year, and I sold a ton of toys FBA with no problem. And I was not approved to sell anything merchant fulfilled. So the next, we probably waited, did we wait 2 years or 3 years, I think, before we actually, even though we were approved to sell merchant fulfilled, before we actually did it, because honestly, we were just scared. It was, and we hear that a lot. People are scared to sell things merchant fulfilled. So we help people a lot in our groups to kind of get over that fear, and we encourage them, for one thing, to practice now before things get really crazy. To get themselves out there. But for the most part, for the first thing of that, what we do first is make sure that they're actually qualified to sell MF during Q4. So that's what we helped people every year. We give them a list of some really easy to find, quick flip kind of things, so that if they haven't met the requirements, for the most part, basically, Amazon outlines, like metrics that your account needs to meet, that you have to do. But the big thing that catches people is either your first sale has to be before September 18th, or the 25 sales in between September 1st and October 31st. So one of those two things usually catches people every year. If they haven't been selling a lot, or if they're newer to selling, they may not meet one of those requirements. And so we try to help to, at least, we can't do anything about your selling before September 18th, because, it's past that. So we can't go back in time, unfortunately. But we can, and we do every year, help people get that 25 orders so that they can qualify to merchant fulfill. Because, while, we were very successful during Q4 without merchant fulfilling, people are very successful every year without merchant fulfilling. It just adds that little extra push to your bottom line. It gives you that extra opportunity, especially, I think Seth might have mentioned that, like on Black Friday weekend. There are times during that Black Friday weekend where there's these little windows of time where people sell out of certain things, and that's an opportunity to be able to go, hey, I have that in my hand, let me list it right now. And I mean, we have last year, we did more than the Zoomer Zuppies, but that was the one thing that we just sold a ton of last year. We were out at Toys R Us, and man, we would get out to the car, and as fast as we could get those things listed MF, they were selling. And so and that was one thing that we mentioned in our group, and there were a lot of people in our group who were able to take advantage of those spikes of high selling times. So and so those are the kind of things that are nice to be able to at least have the option to take advantage of. So even if you decide, I really can't MF anything, I really just don't have the time or whatever, if you at least have the opportunity and it's your choice, whether you do or not, makes it a little bit easier than if the choice is already made for you and you just don't have a choice because you can't do it. So, so we try to get everybody's account up to speed where that they have the opportunity to do that. And we talk a lot about, okay, this is a really good MF item. You're going to want to do that for this.
That's what I was going to mention. I see that all the time. It's a really big strategy that you guys use when you're like, do the MF now before it floods with everyone else, and you can get the sales right now. And I mean, I see that over and over and over again with you guys sharing that in the groups.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, like I said, there's tons of opportunity without it, but just that little extra push is so helpful. So we do get a lot of questions about, you know, how much to merchant fulfill, like how much can somebody handle? And
Oh,
Seth
good.
and I were actually talking about that right before that we started the call tonight, because I wanted to make sure my numbers were good, because I was like, do you think that we could do that many? But it's really going to depend on your personal circumstances. I know, you know, there's some people that this is their part-time job and they work a full-time job otherwise, or maybe they don't have any help during Q4, or, you know, maybe physically they're just not able to get out and get around as much to be able to fulfill those orders. And, you know, so whatever works for you is best for you and your family. That's what we always encourage people to do, not to try to compare themselves to someone else and say, oh, I can't do 50 MF orders every day, so I must not be doing very well at this. You know, it's not about comparing to what somebody else can do or does do, because everybody's so different. And so,
Right.
but as far as what we do, we kind of figured that basically, because neither one of us has help during Q4,
Really?
because, right, we do it
Wow.
all by ourselves. We've had people try to help us during Q4, and something always happens where they fall off or they can't do it, or it just got to be more work to get them to help us than what it was
Wow.
actually helping. So yes, that really needs to be a goal of ours, to find some really, really good help. We know.
I'm shocked, honestly, because I know the volume you guys do. That's crazy.
It is a ton of work, and we are falling out by Christmas. Trust me. Um, but yeah, but basically, if we're not doing anything else, if we don't have, you know, a big FBA shipment or anything going out, we figure we can do between 50 and 100 MF orders every day. So,
Wow.
which is a lot, but once you kind of get your system and your workflow set up so that it works for you best, it kind of just runs like an assembly line, and it's not too hard to keep things going. And a lot of times it's, you know, the same item, like you just sold 20 of one particular item. So
Right.
it's easy, like, oh, I know that goes in this box and it needs this much packing. And, you know, so it gets to be kind of easy to put together that many orders. But if we are doing like a big FBA shipment, because that is our focus, we are mostly FBA during Q4. So if we're doing big FBA shipments, you know, we might only really be able to legitimately do 10 to 20 MF orders during a certain time, because we want to get that shipment going and into the warehouse to start selling for us. More than we want to sell these, you know, 15 or 20 individual items. So,
Right.
and then like Seth was saying, I think Seth mentioned maybe in the call last night, because we were talking a little bit about MF over Black Friday. I think he said that he usually figures he can do around 1 to 200 orders during the Black Friday weekend. So I don't know
Wow.
how many we did last year. I didn't actually pay attention to it, but
Well, he's a
and
beast.
he is, and he's a lot younger than I am, so he can stay up all night and do all kind of stuff, and I'm like, I am tired and I'm going to bed.
Right. Right.
So again, it's what works for you, which staying up all night does not work for me
Not there.
anymore at this.
So let me ask, in the group, are you going to be, because you teach people how to merchant fulfill, do you also show them like the right bubble mailers and different things like that? Do you have recommendations for those types of things as well?
Yes. In the Q4 prep package that we have in the group, there are, in that list of all the supplies is what we recommend for MF
Cool.
orders too. So, yep. I actually went through like all the different size boxes that we use. I tell all the different bags that we use and what we generally put into those, so people kind of know, okay, I'm buying a lot of plush, it'll probably fit in here, or I'm buying a lot of bedding, it'll fit in here. And then I also go through the USPS website and list out the box numbers, because they have
Oh, wow.
like
Very
item
cool.
numbers.
Mhm.
So I go through the sizes that we use the most, and list those all out with the item number and everything. So it makes it easier for people to go in and order stuff for themselves.
That's
So
awesome. You just lay
yeah.
everything out. I mean, that's just so amazing how you guys, I mean, you've done the work for people. Like, obviously they got to do work. They got to go
Right.
get the stuff or whatever. They got to do the sending and all that. But I mean, that's how you like, speed up the process of, like, you don't have to learn all those little things. It's already laid out for you. You just go buy the stuff and follow your lead. Like, that's huge.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, that's what we feel like people are paying us to do. They're paying us to make this easier for them, not
Right.
to make more work for them, and so that's what we try to do, is make it easier for them. And we add, every year we tend to add more things, because we realize, like, people were wondering a lot about this particular subject, or we had a lot of questions about this, or people wanted to see more of this. And so, I mean, that's how we came up with the live shopping trips. We did it on a whim one day, and it became like one of the favorite things that
They're
we did.
awesome. Yeah, no, they're super cool.
And so we were like, well, let's just add that to all of our future coaching groups. So I mean, every year we add other things in that we realize people need, or they want to see and need to know, to make it easier. So
super cool. Well, now we are getting to, did you have any more on Merchant Fulfill?
I was just going to talk real quick about setting up their settings for Merchant Fulfilled, or sure. I was going to let Seth talk about that if he wanted to.
No, you can talk about that. I've never touched my merchant fulfilling settings. So.
Okay. Yeah, another reason why that we recommend people kind of practice just a little bit right now is because when Amazon migrated settings and set up the shipping settings differently, I don't remember if that was earlier this year or if that was late last year, but sometime within the last year and a half, they did all that. Some of the accounts that got migrated ended up automatically having international shipping set up.
Wow.
And some accounts also had expedited shipping. So we always recommend that you go into your shipping settings, double check that. We're getting ready to actually do a video on that, because we have talked about it in the group, but somebody requested an actual video to walk through the steps, how to look at your shipping settings and make sure they're set up correctly. Because you don't want to end up shipping, 100 things on Black Friday and, oh my gosh, figured out I have 12 things going to Russia, and now you have to figure out all that shipping, and which is going to totally eat your profits.
Absolutely.
But you got to figure out how to do a customs form and how to package it differently, all these different things. So you don't want to get caught doing that. You want to make sure everything is ready to go now. So yeah, that was the only other thing. But I did want to clarify that is different than FBA export, which we had a question about that in the group. FBA export, we do recommend, because that is where Amazon will send your items internationally for you from the warehouse for all your FBA items. So that is something that we recommend that you do. But we really don't recommend that you have your merchant fulfilled settings for international or expedited for what we do for, toys, because they're generally bigger and bulkier than a lot of other items. So that can just really kill your profits right there.
Right. That is huge. That's above and beyond in the information you shared there. So thank you so much on that. Really quickly here, we are an hour and a half in, and you guys are awesome. For anyone watching this live right now, hit that thumbs up if you're finding any kind of value here. And for those of you watching later, do the same, man. Show the love to Beth and Seth. They are sharing so much great information. Even if you do nothing else but just listen to this stuff, it's like it's an amazing amount of information, and I sure appreciate it. So I want to go real quickly over here. It's the top 5 holiday Q4 tips to succeed on Amazon in 2017. If you're just getting here, so far we have number 1 is what's the hot toy and the hot toy list. 2 is when to start shopping for Q4. 3 is navigating brand restrictions, which is a big hot topic. 4 is, which we just did, was merchant fulfill during Q4. So now we are to the last and final number 5.
Right. The last thing that we want to end up talking about is Black Friday, which we've kind of touched on just a little bit. So we're just going to kind of touch on a few things that maybe we hadn't mentioned. And obviously we've got, like in the group, we've got our 2-hour Zoom live call coming up here in a few weeks where we talk about all the Black Friday stuff. And, you know, we'll be posting live from the stores as we go through and do our own shopping. And that's another thing. We are actually doing the things that we're teaching. So the things that we're talking about, we're actually going out and doing them ourselves. Which makes a big difference because, you know, sometimes you can find out that something that you thought might work doesn't work. And so, or maybe you find something that works even better than you thought it would. So we're always quick to go back to the group and say, hey, you know, this really didn't pan out. Don't do this or whatever. And, or this is, you know, this worked better than we thought it would. So, you know, we encourage you all to do this.
Yeah, you see that real-time tweaking all the time. Like throughout whatever you guys are doing, you'll be like, oh, there's something good going on here. Do this. Like, it's just amazing how it's just right now kind of stuff. So,
yeah. And so, and we also talked a little bit about merchant fulfilled over that Black Friday weekend. It's the perfect opportunity if you're able to merchant fulfill to take advantage of the time before the FBA shipments get checked in, and you know, during that time when hot items are going to sell out, and you can get right in there and list your items merchant fulfilled. And I was saying, you know, a lot of times we'll get to the car and list things and have them sold before we leave the parking lot, but I also wanted to say we never list things from the store. We always wait until after we're out to the car and we've actually made the purchase, because too many things can go wrong. We've gotten to the checkout and they have refused to sell things to us before. They've you know, said, well, that should never have been out on the shelf, and so they won't sell it to us. Or we've gotten there and, you know, as you're putting things up on the checkout lane, you realize that one of the boxes is destroyed and you didn't realize it when you were throwing it in your cart. And so you know, or you get there and they say, well, you have 10 of these, you're only allowed to buy 2. So, you know, any myriad things can happen from the time that you put that item in your cart till you get it out to your car. So, so just to keep yourself safe, because canceling a merchant fulfilled order is really, really, really bad for your metrics. So you don't want to do that. And so, you know, we just tell everybody to be safe, and we are safe ourselves. We don't list from the store. We're safe ourselves and wait till we get out to the car. There's, you know, I mean, it is literally like, well, except for Black Friday when you're waiting in line for hours, most of the time it's usually, you know, 15 or 20 extra minutes from the time you were in the store till the time that you're out to your car. So, you know, you can wait those few minutes to keep your account safe.
Don't sell it till you own it then, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. So, all right, Seth, do you want to talk a little bit about Black Friday stuff?
Yeah, one of the biggest tips I think I can give for Black Friday is make that your starting point with Q4. That is, anything you buy prior to Black Friday, barring rare circumstance. Like, let's say, for example, you just have to pay a certain bill on November 15th, so you have to get certain money, you know, okay, that might be a little different than what I'm talking about here. For the most part, for most people, if you buy something anytime from here to Black Friday, there is no reason to sell it before Black Friday at a price you don't want. And the reason for that is once Black Friday hits, it's a different ball game. You're in a completely different world. Sales are happening 4 or 5 times faster than they were the day before. You can see 100 sellers disappear off a listing in a day. And so you're going to see people panic on November 20th and drop prices on things and get just stupid low on stuff that's really popular. Don't be one of those people, because there's no reason to get in there and panic before Black Friday actually hits. Usually what I tell people is you really don't need to panic until we get to like mid-December, and then it hasn't stopped. But there's definitely no reason to fire sale your item before Black Friday. Once Black Friday hits, even bad items that just are not going to work out in the end, even the bad ones tend to at least get back to neutral. You can at least get your money back on them. But what I do see happen a lot is people over the next 3-4 weeks, they see all these prices drop because people are buying and sending stuff in for Black Friday and prices are going down. They're like, oh no, this isn't how it's supposed to be. This is not what Q4 is about. And they panic and they drop their prices and then they sell out. And then Black Friday hits, and all of a sudden, all those prices just shoot right back up to, you know, at least a decent price. But some of them, like for instance, last year there was a Nerf. It was a Nerf gun. I don't remember exactly what the name was. But there were the day I bought it on Black Friday week on Sunday. I bought some of them. I bought them. There were 147 sellers the day I bought it. I didn't even think about it. I just bought them, took them home, didn't think about them. On Black Friday, I was in the store and I said, oh, hey, there's some more of those. Let me just double check, make sure I want to buy more. There were no sellers left. Everyone had sold out over that time. And I got lucky because I just happened to scan it at that time. But if you had bought that item 2-3 weeks before and sent it in, you might have panicked long before then. You might have said, oh no, this isn't moving. This isn't selling. I got to get out of here and get my money back. Don't do that before Black Friday. Once Black Friday hits, it's a different ballgame. Everything changes. You can make your money back on most stuff. Even the mistakes can be, for the most part, fixed on Black Friday and past it. So my recommendation for people is don't panic before Black Friday. In fact, generally, I suggest not even bothering to lower your price unless you're close. Like, I don't ever say, you know, get hung up on 20 cents or $1 or something. Right. There's no point in getting hung up on that. You know, take your money and go. But, you know, if you have an item that you bought and it was selling for 30 and now it's down to 15, don't go match everybody. Just wait. Right. Wait for Black Friday. You know, maybe it won't get back up to 30 again, but it'll probably get back up to 25. You know, you can probably get your money back. So don't panic before Black Friday. And the other thing that I'd say is prepare. Even if it's not, you know, even if you're not with us, even if you're not with our group, prepare for Black Friday. Don't just treat it like another shopping day. Don't just say, all right, I'm going to go out and see what I can find. Don't do that. Look at your sales. Look at the times on those sales. Prepare your money. Prepare your coupons, things like, you know, for instance, let's say you got gift cards or something. Prepare that in advance. If you're going to price match, I don't really recommend doing that on Black Friday, but if you're going to price match, if you're going to be one of the people who holds the line up, be ready when you get up there. Don't get up there and be like, oh, hey, let's price match. Let me look through my phone here and see if I can find anything that I got. Don't do that. Don't be one of those people. Be ready beforehand. You know, if you're going to do tax exempt, don't wait till you get up there to then get your information out. Have it ready with you. You know, you're probably going to be in line for wherever you are. There's really no excuse not to be at least prepared to some extent. But more than that, you know, prepare a route. You know, don't just say, I'm going to go out to the store and we'll see where it takes me. Prepare a route. Say, I'm going to go to this store, this store, this store. You know, this is my optimal route. And then, you know, maybe my car is full, so I got to drive home, but then I'm going right back out again. Or maybe it's, let's say you go out midnight on Thursday, get some stuff and say, all right, I'm going home, sleeping, getting up again, going out at 5 a.m. to go hit these deals. You know, be prepared for your day. Treat it like an important day, because it is an important day for your business. These are some of the best deals you're going to get this year. These are going to be great chances to make money that you might not get again during this year. That I'm not saying there's no good deals outside of Black Friday. There's plenty. We make money all throughout next month and all through December. But if you're going out for Black Friday, you have to treat it differently, because it's a different time of year. It's not the same as the rest of the year. This is kind of what people like us live for, is the Black Friday week. This is when you can make so much money if you're ready for it.
Amen. And that right there is the voice of experience. You know, don't freak out with everyone else that's rushing to the bottom. Wait for it to happen. Wait till after Black Friday. I mean, if you've watched up to this far, that advice right there could save you thousands of dollars. You know, if you dump all your stuff that's going to be just as good as it really is after Black Friday, then you've lost all that potential money. And then also the other thing, just prepare. Like he said, even if you're not going with their group, just be prepared when you go out there. I mean, that right there, that's the voice of experience. So that's huge, man.
Yeah. The only other thing that I would add, because I mean, he pretty much covered it. The only other thing I would add is it's always wise to take somebody with you for Black Friday shopping. You know, Seth and I are often by ourselves when we're going out shopping during the rest of the year, but for Black Friday, we always go together, always. Because then there's somebody else to man another cart. I mean, between the two of us, we can pull 4 carts, you know,
Right.
and actually sometimes more than that if we just push one a little bit at a time and then pull 2 other ones. But that sometimes that makes people mad, you know, other customers. So we try not to make other people mad too much. But also you have somebody to go run around the store while you wait in line, because like we've all said, you are going to wait in line for possibly hours on Black Friday.
Right.
And if you're in our group, you're going to be in line when you see us post a bolo, and you might have to go out and grab it.
Good
That's
point.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so often when we start to get down to the bottom of our lists, you know, we'll have one of us go and stand in line, and which usually snakes throughout the whole entire store most of the time. And one of us will stand in line with all the carts and just move them up, while the other person says, okay, I'm going to get this, this, and this, and then, you know, keeps coming back and forth to the carts all the time. So, and it also kind of keeps you a little bit safer. You know, for women, well, usually I wear like a crossbody purse. This is for women only. A crossbody
So I don't
purse.
wear that. I shouldn't get that.
No, well, I mean, you could if you really, really
bring it
want
on. I got my crossbody purse.
But that's what I usually do because it's just easier to keep it safe and close to my body. But if you have your big old bag, you know, from Coach or whatever, and you have to take that with you when you're going shopping, having another person there just kind of helps to keep an eye on your stuff. It helps when you're loading up your car out in the dark. Most of the time we are completely in the dark in the middle of the night. You know, and so, which I usually, when I'm by myself, I usually try not to do a lot of shopping after dark because most of the time I've got 1 or 2 carts with me and I can't pay attention to what's going on around me as much. And so just having that extra person with you kind of helps so that you've got somebody there to watch your back a little bit. And, you know, and just having another set of eyes to say, hey, wait a minute, did you see that thing on this end cap over here? And just having somebody, you know, that extra person there to look out for deals with you and or to remind you of something, you know, that you might have forgotten. And just really helpful. So
because
yeah,
the brain's a little frazzled at that time too, usually, because so much going on, and then you get 2 people with frazzled brains. At least that makes one good one sometimes.
Right. Right.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. It's huge to have help. So especially during Black Friday and those other sales days for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I also try not to take Alyssa with me. That's my daughter. So she goes with me on a lot. She'll be on the live shopping trip with us on Monday because she loves to do those. But she is not allowed to go on Black Friday and she knows. So, you know, I mean, I constantly see people out with their kids and they're crying and they're in their pajamas and, you know, it's 3 a.m. And so, you know, that's just too hard if you're trying to do work shopping. So, so yeah, if you have kids, it's always good to be able to leave them at home and take an adult helper with you.
So much good stuff, man. I'm just sitting here getting excited for like, I need to get out there and start buying some stuff, man. It's so good. Did you guys have anything else to cover on that? It sounds like, I mean, you went again above and beyond what I was expecting. So
no,
I think you hit everything.
I think that we did. Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
so. I don't know, for some reason our calls with you always end up at 2 hours. So we may as well just plan it.
I'm sorry. I try, man. I try. You guys just, I'm telling you, you give and give. And like, if you guys are watching this right now and you see the value, and I don't know how you couldn't, like, this is the best toy buying information that you can get right now for Q4 2017. I mean, you see that what they're giving here for free. You can just imagine what's behind the curtain there with their group. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure having you. You guys are super popular. Whenever you come up, I mean, people listen. Like I said, I'm sitting here with my pen. There's a reason, you know what I mean? So thank you guys so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob.
Absolutely.
We always love being on your show. It's a lot of fun, and we just really enjoy getting to talk about toys some more.
Absolutely. It's so good. So you guys, if you guys are watching this, you've listened to 2 hours of information. They've given their time to share with you the 5 tips to help you succeed in Q4 2017. You know, and I'll go over them real quick again. 1, what was the hot toy? 2, when to start shopping for Q4. 3, navigating brand restrictions. 4, merchant fulfilled during Q4. And 5, Black Friday. If you've listened to all of this free information that they got, and you can see that they have the expertise, the knowledge, they're watching out for you guys. They're not going to tell you to do things the wrong way for your business. They're going to help you succeed in Q4. Then do yourself a service and go and join the Q4 Toy Success Group. It's at dollarmoves.com/toys Q4 2017 and use the code ROB2017 for all Dollar Moves viewers to get $50 off enrollment. And then if you're not ready to do the group, or it's maybe your business isn't in that area yet, you can get the Q4 Hottest Niche Finding Success Selling Toys ebook at dollarmoves.com/Q4 Toy Book. And again, if you are joining the group, make sure not to buy that first because you can get it for a discount. And you can find all the information and last year's videos that we did. If this 2 hours wasn't enough for you, you can see those over at dollarmoves.com/Q4 2017. So again, I'd just like to thank you guys for taking the time to do this. It is huge. I know that everyone's going to enjoy this, and people are going to get a ton of benefit from it. So thank you so much. And then I'd also like to thank the audience for joining the show. And yeah, it's been an awesome show, and we are at the 2-hour mark. So I guess that's when we officially end this, isn't it?
Yep, so.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Good luck with Q4, everybody. See you guys.
Bye.